Hi everybody, it's Scotty here from Smoloco, smoloco.com, facebook.com/smoloco123. I wanted to make this quick little video just to go into where our taxes are actually going to. I myself am an American citizen. I was born in Ohio, and I have basically lived my whole life in America. I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't traveled outside of North America, never. The closest thing I could say is Canada. I traveled to North Canada in 5th grade when I was about 14 years old. I'm 22 right now. And basically, though, where I'm going at in this video is my taxes and other Americans' taxes are not being represented. Our taxes are going to trillion-dollar banker bailouts. They're going to bogus wars, such as Afghanistan, which Obama promised to get us out of by 2009, 2010, 2011. He never got us out of the Afghan war, and that's not a surprise to me. Obama is just basically a George Bush 2.0. Democrat, Republican, you can wipe your ass with both parties. Both parties are fucking owned. The only real chance we have of having a real leader in this country is if we can get a grassroots movement for a new party or a new candidate that isn't owned by corporate lobbyists. Republican, Democrat, you can wipe your ass with both of those parties. Just fucking forget about them. Forget about Ted Cruz. I hate to say it, forget about Rand Paul. I agree with a lot of what Ron Paul has to say and what Rand Paul has to say, but in my honest opinion, the first day, I think it was about a year and a half ago, I noticed that Ron Paul, he backed Mitt Romney as a presidential candidate, and I know he did that just so he would have leverage in the party. But all in all, just the fact that Rand Paul backed such a corporate, egotistical, sociopathic motherfucker like Romney tells me all I have to know about Rand Paul. He's most likely a sellout. He's a Freemason. And what else do I have to say? The Illuminati owns him. But then again, if you go back to Hillary Clinton's testimony and trial during the Benghazi hearings, Rand Paul did get on her, and he did bring up the direct commercial. He brought up how Benghazi was being used as a front to fund Syrian rebels, and how Libya, especially Benghazi, was a gateway used to fund and weaponize Al-Qaeda rebels that the CIA and our government are now funding in Syria to overthrow Assad. So I mean, I don't want to sound 100% against Rand Paul. There are some things that I really like about him, and that I really think that he is the real deal on. But then again, something in the back of my head is telling me, you know what, this guy's owned. He hasn't gone the whole way. And in my opinion, I'm not saying that because I think Rand Paul is a sellout. In my honest opinion, my name's Scottie Spencer, runner of smoloco.com and facebook.com/smoloco123. My honest opinion of why Rand Paul hasn't really taken the catch-22 on the New World Order is because he probably has been threatened with murder. The Illuminati Central Bankers don't fuck around. If they feel that you're a threat to their power, their monopoly on our credit currency creation, and, as you know, the Rothschilds and a few European-based families control the monopoly on our currency creation. They don't fuck around. If you're a U.S. politician and you dare to bring up the money power system, you're going to be threatened with murder. And in my opinion, I think probably both Ron Paul and Rand Paul have been threatened with death threats by the Illuminati. They probably have had threats that have said that their kids would be killed if they continued with their outspoken message of the Federal Reserve. And, they probably backed down a little bit. So, I mean, I can't really blame Ron or Rand Paul for backing down on the Rothschild Central Banking System, which has raped our country for many, many years now, way too long. They officially they gained a stranglehold over our country in 1913 when President Woodrow Wilson passed the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. Congress no longer had the authority to regulate and coin our currency. All of our currency laws were just delegated to the Federal Reserve, which isn't even federal. That's just a bogus name it was given to deceive the American people. And let me repeat that. The Federal Reserve is not federal. It's a private corporation, and it's the only corporation in America that is a for-profit corporation that is tax exempt. So right there, that tells you a lot. It's all about making money. It's all about making money, baby. To get back where I was going, though, we really do need to expose the Illuminati puppets that we have infiltrated in our government. My father, his name is William. I love my dad, a great guy. If it wasn't for my dad, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. He got me into politics, and he's an amazing guy. I love him to death. Anyway, though, me and my dad, we were we turn on TV once in a while, and we were watching MSNBC the other day, and we noticed how Hillary Clinton was being praised by MSNBC. Chris Matthews, who is nothing but a CIA corporate-owned fat little bitch who is paid millions of dollars to spread CIA-sponsored disinformation, corporate biased disinformation. That's all Chris Matthews is used for. He knows nothing about American history. He knows nothing about how government really works. He's a stupid, fat, little twerp motherfucker who is paid a few $1 million a year to sit in front of a teleprompter and lie to us. And that teleprompter is used as a CIA-sponsored disinformation tool. He just reads total government propaganda. Anything that you see on the mainstream media, just completely disregard, because none of it is true. As I have told you in my previous videos, the mainstream media is completely controlled by 6 corporations. Those 6 corporations are GE, Viacom, News Corp, CBS, Disney, and AOL Time Warner. And those 6 corporations are controlling many Americans' viewpoints. And many Americans don't even realize that they're being socially re-engineered on a daily basis. This is MK Ultra mind programming that is being used throughout television on a daily basis. Joseph Goebbels, what's his name? Goebbels, he was Hitler's main propaganda dude. Goebbels would be so proud with the CIA and America's disinformation propaganda program that he would probably be shitting his pants right now. We are under a brainwashing program here in America. Too many Americans have their heads in the sand. I go to the grocery store and I buy groceries, and I see that so many Americans, they're too busy looking at the newsstands, the Inquirer, the National Review, bogus stories featuring Kim Kardashian, football players, George Clooney having a sex affair. None of that matters. None of that matters. It is all distraction. And if you read the Protocols of Zion, which is basically the New World Order's, it's basically their laid out fact sheet of how they're going to take over the world. If you read the Protocols of Zion, just go on Google and type in the Protocols of Zion, you will find out that we are currently being overtaken by an Anglo-Zionist Illuminati Central Banking system. Our money, as I have told you, is issued with interest on it. So every time our government needs to borrow money, foreign banks charge our government with interest on that money that they borrow. So let's say I live in the United States. My government, the United States government, borrows $1 billion from the Fed. Let's say the Fed charges a 30% interest rate on that $1 billion that my government borrows from the Fed. Who gets stuck with that interest, the interest rate on that money borrowed from my government from the Fed? Well, I do, the taxpayers. So a lot of our debt is basically just interest. It's a debt money that is fake money created out of thin air by the Rothschild Central Banking System, and my people are being stuck with a fraudulent debt ceiling. We shouldn't even have a debt ceiling in the United States of America. Every time I turn on CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever the fuck you want to call it, every time I turn on the TV, I'm constantly reminded of, oh, the Americans, we have to raise our debt ceiling. We have to do this. We can't default on our debt. Fuck you. First off, America shouldn't have any debt to begin with, and if we do, it should be a legitimate debt. But what our debt is right now, our debt is mostly interest. Just like I told you, our government is borrowing money. My United States government, Congress, is borrowing money from a private entity, a private corporation known as the Federal Reserve, which isn't even federal. This private corporation, as many of you know, as the Federal Reserve, charges interest on all the money that my government borrows from them. And myself and all the other Americans get stuck with paying the interest on all this money borrowed from the government. When in reality, my government should have the right to create interest. My government should have the objective and operation to just print interest-free money. I mean, honestly, imagine if you had a country and your name's John or Willie. Now let's imagine that you had a country named Johnny, and you, for about 100 years, were in control of your country, okay? And for those 100 years, you created your own currency, and you managed the volume of that money you distributed within your country according to economic activity, okay? And now imagine a few years later, after this, a private central bank comes up to you and says, hey, listen, buddy, we want to take over your country called Johnny, and we want to be able to take away your rights to issue your own currency of your country, and we're going to charge you interest on all the money that you borrow from us, the private bank. And all the money that you borrow from us of your country called Johnny, your taxpayers are going to have to pay us. All that interest-based revenue created out of thin air. And that is what is taking place in America right now. All of our taxes are going to bogus wars, trillion-dollar banker bailouts, interest on fiat currency created out of thin air. Our taxes are not representing us. We have to wake up. We have to realize that we as Americans have consumer power. We don't have to purchase the products these corporations produce. Buy within our means. Go to the grocery store. Don't buy all that GMO junk food by corporations such as Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Sprite, whatever. Buy what only you have to buy. Make your purchasing power your definitive power over, I mean, these corporations, they want you to buy all this shit. Buy only what you have to buy. As John Perkins says, who wrote Confessions of an Economic Hitman, he says that we as a nation can control corporate profits, and he's right to a degree. We don't have to buy all this shit. We don't have to buy Nike tennis shoes that are made in Indonesia by poor peasant people that are being paid 10 pennies an hour, and we don't have to buy them for about $200 for a pair of shoes. We can stop this corporate greed and outsourcing of our economy. Buy within your means. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Buy within your means. If you don't have to go out to dinner and buy a $70 dinner or a $50, $40 dinner, don't do it. Go to the grocery store, go to the dollar store, buy a few cans, buy raviolis, noodles, buy what you have to buy just to keep yourself alive. And I know it sounds devastating and pathetic, but we can't keep feeding these corporations their profits, and that's why they're in control. Politicians don't call the shots, corporations do. Where do you think politicians get their funds to finance their campaigns and political campaigns from? Corporations. Therefore, who controls the politician once he is elected? The corporation. What kind of information do these corporations have on these politicians? All kind of shit. Sex, drug use, marital infidelity, pedophilia, everything. Therefore, let's control our purchasing power and designate our rights of Americans to the dedicated purposes that will serve our country to a higher purpose. God bless you guys. Scotty from Smoloka here. Keep listening to my videos. Send me messages. Whatever questions you have to ask me, and I will answer them. God bless you and amen.